right, beautiful people, welcome to another live stream. We are here tonight. It's about 9, almost 10 o'clock my time. So the stream times have definitely shifted from mid-evening and mornings to more of our nighttime streams. You know, we go back and forth here. We're definitely on a nighttime stream schedule at the moment. So just kind of expect that unless something changes. Just kind of expect for us to be here towards the night hours, at least for me, right? At least for my time, about 9, 10 o'clock. Sky first in chat. Then we got Sanchez right behind him. What's up, Sanchez? So we got Ghost. What's up, Ghost? What's up, Sky? Welcome, guys. We have an interesting one. I'm in a habit of saying that for all my streams, but we have an interesting one in store for you tonight. We're going to be talking about anxiety acceptance. It's more about what you don't do. It's more about what you don't do. So this stream is really just to continue to try to clear up any confusion. You guys know that's always been my goal since day one, is to make this as simple, as straightforward, and with as little confusion as possible. And that's really the goal of tonight's stream. Anxiety acceptance. It's more about what you don't do. Yeah, stream time schedule all over the place. You said it best, Winning Mentality. Stream time schedule all over the place. As of right now, it'll be night streams for quite some time until we screw that up again. But yeah, for the most part, stream schedule all over the place. How are you guys doing? Sanchez with the ghost emojis. What's up, dude? What a bro, keeping it fresh. We try, man. We try. Sanchez, my brother. Welcome, guys. Welcome. We are getting closer and closer to Christmas, man. Closer and closer to Christmas. Happy Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Hope you're all doing fantastic. I don't think we have to wait around too long tonight before we get started, but let me just go ahead and toss out one more notification before we do get rolling. Try to give everybody a fair chance to get in here that want to catch us live. All right. It's about 18 degrees tonight, according to my computer. It's about 18 degrees outside, man. 18 degrees. I don't know if I'm happy about that, but 18 degrees. I got to leave a little bit of water running in the sink just so my pipes don't freeze. We've had that happen before. We have had that happen before. How are you doing tonight, Sanchez? Winning. How are you guys doing? Hope you're all doing great. Welcome, welcome. All right, I'm going to get this pulled up over here real quick, and then we'll probably go ahead and get started, guys. Let's run those likes up real quick before we start. It only takes a second. Really helps the channel out. I would really appreciate it. Let's run those likes up. Sanchez in the Christmas spirit, the holiday spirit, man. I love it. Christmas right around the corner. Sheesh, I thought it was 35. I thought 35 was freezing here in Arizona. Yeah, according to my computer, it's telling me 18 degrees tonight. Got to leave a little bit of water running in the sink just so the pipes don't freeze. So, yeah. Every time I took Nova out today, I was just freezing, absolutely freezing. And it's like they're always so slow about it. They're always so, you know, you take your dog out and it's like absolutely freezing. You can see your breath. You're just miserable. And you're like, dude, it doesn't matter where you crap. We're in the yard, right? Like, just pick a place, squat, dump it off, and let's go inside. It's freezing. But, you know, any other time, like if it was summertime, she would just run out and she would quickly do her business and, you know, we'd head in. But you know, when it's 17, 18, 20 degrees outside, she wants to take her sweet time because you've absolutely got to find the perfect place in the yard to take a dump, especially when it's 17 degrees outside. Anyway, we are way off topic. Let's go ahead, guys. What do you guys think? Should we go ahead and get started? Go ahead and get started on this one. Thank you for the likes, guys. The thumbs up really do help the channel grow. Thank you, thank you. I think we should go ahead and get started. Anxiety acceptance. It's more about what you don't do. So this is a head scratcher, right? For some of you. What do you mean it's more about what you don't do? Wonder Bro, isn't that what you do on your channel? You live stream and make videos and tell people about the 2 keys and the things they can do to help their anxiety? Yes, we sure do. But tonight we're going to put it in an interesting way. It's more about what you don't do. So this stream, as most of my streams is heavily inspired by the comments that I get, the comments that I see within the community. And one of the more popular, I guess you could say, comments that I receive here on the channel is people saying things like, I just don't feel like I'm doing acceptance right, or something along the lines of, it just doesn't feel like I'm doing acceptance, Wonder Bro. So how can you explain that? Well, first and foremost, you need to crumple that up in a ball and throw that out the window, because acceptance isn't something that you necessarily feel like you're doing right in the moment, because when you come at it with that perspective, it's almost like you're looking for instant symptom improvement, which is not going to happen. It takes time for the brain to catch up. It doesn't mean you can't experience relief rather quickly, but it's not something you necessarily feel like right or wrong in the moment. It's more about what you don't do. The point of the stream, it's more about what you don't do. So how can you be sure, right? And I might actually change the stream title later from it's more about what you don't do, and then maybe outside of that I'll write something like how to know that you're doing acceptance, right? In the moment, acceptance is more about what you don't do. It's not necessarily something that you feel black or white that you're doing right or that you're doing wrong. Let's say in the moment you have high anxiety, right? You know that we love to teach with examples. Let's say you have high anxiety. Your anxiety's just through the roof. It doesn't matter necessarily what's causing it, whether it be a sticky, intrusive thought, whether it be a situation that you currently find yourself in. Let's just say your anxiety's through the roof for whatever reason, right? Title of the stream, it's more about what you don't do. In that moment, when your anxiety is through the roof, regardless of what the cause is, regardless of what the thoughts are saying, your anxiety is through the roof. If you don't go for that coping method, whether that coping method be Google, calling somebody for reassurance, whatever that coping method is, if you don't go for that compulsion, which is really the same as a coping method, right? Google, reassurance, whatever it is you do, pace around the house, there's so many things that you could be doing, and you got to be honest with yourself there. If you don't go for these things, if you don't go for the coping method, if you don't go for the compulsion, and if you don't go for the mental fight, right? So this is a interesting one, because a lot of people out there don't realize that they are responsible for mental compulsions too. Mental compulsions, or coping methods, whatever you want to call them, are very much a thing, right? It's when you try to fight with a thought or figure it out. Let's say you have a crazy intrusive thought, oh, you're going to lose it if this happens, right? And you get up in your head and you're like, oh, here's all the reasons that won't happen, and you start trying to get into a fight with it. You try to get into an argument with it to bring yourself some sort of relief, right? This is also a compulsion. So it's more about what you don't do. If you're sitting there and your anxiety's through the roof, right, but you are not going for the mental fight, you're not going for the mental argument, you're not doing the compulsions, you're not doing the coping methods, and you are just telling yourself something like, you know what, just let it run its course, right? Even if you got to say that, you know, again and again, you know, you're just like, you know what, let it run its course. You're not looking for it to instantly go away. You're not saying let it run, you know, you're not telling yourself, hey, let it run its course because you want it to instantly go away, right? You're not doing that. You're just reminding yourself, hey, this needs to happen. This release needs to happen. Anxiety learns while anxiety is turned on. So as you're sitting there minding your business and your anxiety is through the roof, again, regardless of the cause, but you're not going for the coping methods, you're not going for the compulsions, you're not going for the mental fight, the mental argument, and you're just telling yourself casually something like, you know what, I'm just going to let this run its course. I don't necessarily like it. I'm going to let it run its course. I'm going to let this release continue happening. I'm going to let my brain learn. These are just many different little examples, right? But as you're sitting there basically not doing much, that is acceptance, right? This is not about doing something black and white, right or wrong. It's more about what you don't do. So this is an interesting way to put it, because so many people still caught up on what's the missing piece to the puzzle. What am I doing wrong here? Okay, well, if it helps you to clear that confusion, then I want you to look at it in a new way. I want you to look at it like this. It's more about what you don't do. So let's say you're just trying to live your life and you're doing what you would normally do, which is what you should be doing, right? You shouldn't be changing your life for anxiety. So let's say you're sitting there and you're playing a video game, right? And then anxiety comes on and it gets really strong. And again, it doesn't matter what's causing it, be it a thought or a situation. It's more about what you don't do in that moment. So don't get up in your head saying things like, oh, you know, how do I make sure I'm doing acceptance right now, right? How do I make sure I'm doing all the right things right now? Because you're just going to work yourself way up. If that's the route you're going, I'm telling you, you're just making it 10 times worse on yourself. So let's just say that you're going on about your normal everyday life, you're playing a video game or something, whatever example you want to use, anxiety starts getting really high, it's through the roof, doesn't matter what caused it. In that moment, do not start asking yourself the question, oh, how do I do acceptance right now? How do I make sure I'm doing this right? No, just remind yourself it's more about what I don't do. So I'm just going to continue playing my video game, for example. I'm not changing my life for anxiety. That's one of the 2 keys, live your life. And the other one of the 2 keys, don't get into a mental fight. So remind yourself, it's more about what I don't do. I'm just going to continue playing my game. I'm not going to get up in my head and start trying to problem solve that thought. That thought's saying I'm going to die or go crazy. All right, so be it, right? We got Sanchez in the house tonight. He loves to just say F it. Right? So it's more about what you don't do, guys. There's not a missing piece to the puzzle. There's not some formula that you haven't figured out yet, right? So don't get up in your head and start working yourself up, asking yourself those questions. What am I missing here? How do I know if I'm doing this right? Blah, blah, blah. Leave all that behind, right? Leave all that behind. So you must understand that there's not something you do, right? And somebody says nothing seems to be working. Well, you're still missing the point. It's not about getting something to work. If you're still coming at it with the mindset of, what do I do to get this to work? You've got it all wrong, right? You've got it all wrong. And I'm not calling you out on that to be a douchebag. It's just, I used to think the same thing you did, and I'm sure a lot of people in this community still do. You can't come at it with a mindset of, oh, I need something to work. Well, then you're still missing the point. The point is, you don't have to do necessarily anything. It's more about what you don't do. Not using the compulsions, not using the coping methods, not getting into the mental fight. And guess what? When you start saying stuff to yourself like, what do I do to get this to work? You're mentally fighting. That is mentally fighting, and it's going to gas your nerves up, and it's going to keep you from healing, because you're telling the brain by saying things like, oh, how do I get acceptance to work? You're telling the brain, hey, something's wrong. He's really concerned about something. He really needs this to work. Why? What's the danger? What's going on here? So you're still missing the point, you see? So understand when I say things like that, again, I'm not trying to be a douche. I'm just trying to correct you, because we need to make these corrections. If we don't make these corrections, you're going to continue to struggle. It's about what you don't do. Right? So anxiety comes on and it's really high. You don't want to start asking questions like, what do I do to get it to work? How do I know I'm making acceptance work? How do I know if I'm doing it right? Stop all that. You just need to come back and remind yourself, wait a minute, it's more about what I don't do. So I'm just going to continue what I was doing before this anxiety came. Okay, I'm going to just keep playing my game or keep cleaning or whatever it was you were doing. And while you're doing that, you don't ask questions like, how do I get this to work? That's not acceptance. You don't ask questions like, am I doing this right or wrong? That's not acceptance. That's more mental fight, right? If you get confused, and that's what this stream is for tonight, guys, in case you're confused. If you get confused in the moment and anxiety is really high and you start saying things to yourself like, what do I do? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Stop yourself for a second and just say to yourself, you know what? It's more about what I don't do. I'm just going to continue cleaning up. I'm just going to continue taking out the trash. I'm not going to try to fight with that thought in my head. If it wants to be there and cause me a ton of anxiety, let it cause me a ton of anxiety, right? If the feelings want to be there, let them feelings cause whatever they want to cause, right? So you don't get involved, right? It's more about what you don't do. And you're going to hear me repeat that a lot tonight, because, I mean, obviously that is the point of this stream. It's more about what you don't do. You don't get up in your head and try to figure that thought out. You might be thinking to yourself, well, if I could just figure it out, I'll get relief. Yeah, you might get short-term relief, but that's a compulsion. And then another one is just going to pop up in its place. So you're wasting your time. It's more about what you don't do. So anxiety's through the roof. You got a thought there that's causing a lot of anxiety. You just continue whatever it is you were doing before it showed up. And if you get involved mentally with the questions like, oh, how do I make this work? That's fighting. You need to come back to the mentality of, wait a minute, just let it run its course. There's nothing I need to do. There's nothing I need to do here. I'm not going to do anything. Right? I'm not going to try to figure that thought out. I'm not going to try to problem solve that thought. I'm not going to try to argue with that thought. It's there. It might cause you extreme anxiety for some time to come. Okay, eventually you got to face it. And that's what you're doing. By doing nothing and not trying to mentally fight or use physical compulsions or coping methods, you are finally facing it. right? And that's a topic for another day, but I'll go ahead and throw this in there. People will say, yeah, well, isn't it supposed to feel like it's working? No, in fact, anxiety might rise because you're no longer using your compulsions. You're no longer using your coping methods. You're no longer mentally fighting. You're cutting away your safety nets, and you're not doing what you normally do. So the short-term discomfort may go up, but it's going to lead to long-term gain, and it's worth it. It is worth it, right? So you can't sit around and say, why is it not working? My symptoms are still here. You're missing the point. You can't sit around and say, I'm not using compulsions and coping methods, and I'm not fighting with that thought. I'm just saying let it run its course, but it doesn't seem to be getting better. It might not feel like that right away. All that's irrelevant. It might feel like it's rising. The anxiety might peak. That's fine. All you need to be concerned with is not whether my symptoms are improving or not. That's none of your business. All you need to be concerned with is what you're doing. And just like the title of this stream says, it's more about what you don't do. It's more about what you don't do. So a lot of people getting wrapped up in things like, why aren't my symptoms improving? You're missing the point. A lot of people getting wrapped up in things like, am I doing it right or wrong? You're missing the point. That's just more mental obsession. That's just more mental stress. That's just more trying to figure it out. Right? You're missing the point. The point is, it's more about what you don't do. So the anxiety's there, whether it's caused by a thought or a situation, and you just got this mentality. And like I said, even if you got to speak the words to yourself, go ahead and speak them. You just got this mentality of, you know what, let it run its course. This does not feel comfortable. It's not supposed to, but just let it run its course. Don't get in your head and start asking questions like, what am I doing wrong? That's not what you're missing the point, right? It's more about what you don't do. It's more about what you don't do. It's not about figuring out the thoughts. It's not about getting instant symptom improvement. It's not about, okay, well, I've been accepting for 3 days. Where's my relief? No, you're missing the point. The brain will take care of all the complicated stuff, guys, right? The brain will make all the changes. The amygdala will settle itself down. The amygdala will do that. The body will do that. Your job is to stay out of it. Your job is to stay out of it. Right? So that's why the title of this stream is, it's more about what you don't do. Let's say, I'm going to give an example here. Let's say for the past week, I don't know, you can apply this to your own journey, just bend it at your will. But let's say for the past week or so, you've had a sticky, intrusive thought, the same one, and it's causing you a ton of anxiety every day, but you're not doing anything about it. You're just going on with your day the best that you can, like you normally would, and you're not in your head trying to solve that thought or get reassurance for that thought or try to make that thought go away. You're just kind of telling yourself, you know what, let it run its course. Sometimes you might get in your head with a little bit of negativity, but you catch that, right? That kind of happens automatically. It's just a bad habit, but you catch that. So you're just living your life normally, and you're just telling yourself, hey, let it run its course. I don't like this. You don't have to like it, right? It sucks, but just let it run its course. Let it burn. And you don't feel good. In fact, you feel horrible. Well, guess what? You're fine. You're doing fine. You're doing great. You know why you're doing fine? You know why you're doing great? Because again, it's more about what you don't do. So if you're just going on about your life, you've got a let it burn mentality. You're just telling yourself to let it run its course. You're not trying to figure that thought out. You're not trying to figure those feelings out. You're not asking questions like, where's my relief? You're not asking questions like, oh, when will it get better? You're not staying stuck on that stuff. If you get on that stuff for a second, that's fine. Catch it. But you're not staying stuck on that stuff. For the most part, you just have an attitude of, hey, I know what's going on here. Just let it run its course. I'm not going to add fuel to the fire, because that's the whole problem. Adding the fuel to the fire, adding the trying to figure out, adding the stress, adding the worry. If you're not doing any of that, you're just catching it and you have a let it burn mentality, right? And you're just carrying on with your daily life, then guess what? You're doing fine. You're doing great. It may not feel like you're doing fine. It may not feel like you're doing great. It's not supposed to, right? Oof, I know you guys didn't want to hear that, but that's the truth. It's not supposed to feel fun. It's not supposed to feel great. You're not supposed to get instant symptom improvement. The more you get caught up on these questions like, where's my relief? What am I doing wrong? Am I doing this right or wrong? You are still stressing your nervous system. Acceptance is the art of no longer getting involved. That's why I say it's more about what you don't do. If you think about what the two keys are, because I'm sure I've got somebody out there right now who's saying to themselves, Well, what about the two keys, Warner Bro? You're telling us tonight it's more about what we don't do. Well, what about the two keys? Well, let's think about the two keys for a second, right? You beautiful people, let's think about the two keys for a second. What are the two keys? The two keys are to continue living your life as normally as possible, as if nothing's going on, right? And what is the other of the two main keys? The other of the two main keys is to not mentally fight with your thoughts and feelings, and just to have that accepting inner voice of something like, hey, let it burn, or hey, let it run its course. That's the inner voice that you're practicing, whether you might not believe that inner voice at first, that's fine, but that's the inner voice you're practicing. So if you think about what the two keys are, they come right back to the point of the stream tonight, which is it's more about what you don't do. Think about what the two keys are for a second. The two keys are to live your life as normally as possible, number one, and number two, just to have an accepting, neutral attitude of, hey, let it run its course, let it burn, instead of trying to fight mentally and problem solve every thought and feeling. You're just going to face it and let it burn. So if you think about what the two keys really are at their core, the two keys really come down to it's more about what you don't do. The two keys really come down to it's more about not doing anything besides carrying on with your life and not mentally fighting with those thoughts and feelings, and instead just saying, hey, let it be what it is, and it's time to face it. And it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be enjoyable. In fact, like I said, your anxiety may even peak from time to time because you're no longer doing your safety behaviors, right? But that's a part of the process. That's a part of finally facing. There is no way around this. Right? So when we get comments that say things like, where's my relief? Or why am I not seeing my symptoms? Well, you're still trying to get around it. And that's not what we're going for here. In order to train the brain, you have to feel fear. In order to work with those pathways, they have to be activated. Anxiety learns while anxiety is turned on, no other way. So as you're using the two keys, you're just living normally, and you've got this mental inner voice that you're working on. And like I said, the old negativity might pop up, that's okay. But you've got this mental inner voice that you're trying to replace that negativity with that says, hey, just I'm facing it, let it burn, let it learn. You're not asking questions like, where's the relief? Because that's irrelevant. The brain will take care of all of that in time. Your only job is to stay out of it. Your only job is to not get involved. And that's why the title of this stream is, it's more about what you don't do, right? So really, this one tonight, guys, like I said, just like pretty much all of my streams, is to try to clear up confusion. It's to let you know, hey, there's no such thing. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? No, it's just more about what you don't do. It's just more about what you don't do. So continue living. Carry on living and try to have that mental inner voice that says, hey, I'm just going to let this burn. I'm going to let it do its thing. Leave it alone. Let it do what it needs to do, right? And don't get caught up on questions like, when's it going to go, or where's my relief? Yes, healing is the end goal. Healing is the end goal. But for now, it is more about what you don't do. All right, you guys? Whew, that was a good one. That was a solid 20-minute rant. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please leave a big thumbs up on the stream. I would really appreciate it. It does help the channel grow. And with that being said, I think we're good to go. I think it's time to hang out with chat, read some comments, all that good stuff. See what you cool cats are up to tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and get us some Christmas music going. Let's get that Christmas cheer going. Let's do a quick roll call, guys. A quick roll call. Who do we still have in the stream with us? Who do we still got in here tonight? I see Sky in the chat. So I'm not going to be very involved in the stream. So wonderful. I should have a pic of my Xmas tree up on Discord by Thursday. Nice, dude. I'll look out for that. Coping method don't work. They don't work. Break down your fear beliefs, trust me. Yes, which is going to come down to what you tell yourself, right? Exactly, the accepting inner voice. What we have been preaching since day one, right? You got to make that accepting inner voice change, and no, it's not going to feel like it's working, and no, you're not going to get instant symptom relief most of the time, but that's not the point. The point is you still work on what you tell yourself regardless, right? So again, the two keys: live your life as normally as possible and make sure you're working on that inner voice that's going to lead to that accepting attitude, right? That accepting attitude. So you're just leaving it all alone. Again, the title of the stream, it's more about what you don't do. Let's see, our music's a little low. Let's turn that up a little bit. If it's too loud, too low, just let me know, guys. We got Sarah in the house tonight. What's up, Sarah? We got Rich. Hope you're doing fantastic, Rich. We got Tyler. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing amazing, Tyler. Let's see. We got Andrew says, "Hey, Wonder Bro, keep up the good work." Andrew, thank you for being here tonight, dude. Thank you for all the likes, guys. Really appreciate it. Sunday evening with peanut butter, crackers, and the Wonder Bro family. Peanut butter crackers is a really good snack choice. A really good snack choice. So I fully support you on that decision. Who was that, Rich? Yeah, I fully support you on that decision, Rich. So I understand surrendering to your anxious feelings, but if you surrendering makes me more quiet, shouldn't I just do that? Wait, let me try to digest that one more time. So I understand surrendering to your anxious feelings, but if surrendering makes me more quiet, shouldn't I just do that? So are you saying that when you surrender, aka accept your thoughts and feelings instead of trying to fight with them, are you saying that it automatically sort of naturally makes you more quiet and cut off, right? Because the two worlds can coexist. You can be practicing acceptance and surrendering to your thoughts and feelings without getting so backed up in a corner. The two worlds can coexist. You can continue living normally while also practicing that attitude of surrender. Let's see. We got a ton of comments, guys. I promise I'm going to try to get caught up on them. I got COVID last week, negative now, but I had a bad experience with not breathing properly. I got panicked while driving and to the mall. I wanted to back down, but I continued even though scared. Is still accepting even though panicking? Absolutely, dude. You can't avoid your panic, right? So not only is it still acceptance if you're facing panic, it's bonus points. If anything, it's bonus points, dude. So no, you should not beat yourself up for panicking. You got to face that, right? That's something you have to face. Let's see. It's weird how I seem to still look for the magic answer, seek reassurance and certainty, no matter if I think I've found it. It doesn't work and feelings always return, need to buy it. Yes, Tyler, I'm glad you've made that realization, dude. It's very, very important. You're never going to find that missing piece of the puzzle. People still try to find that missing piece because they think there's a way to sidestep anxiety. No, man. Eventually, you just got to come to the realization that there is no way around the anxiety. Like, if you're looking to heal, it is going to be about going through the anxiety, and it's going to be about going through the anxiety with that accepting attitude that you're going to practice. Notice I didn't say be perfect. Notice I didn't say get it right away. Notice I said you just work on it. I said you practice, right? You practice on what you tell yourself, and you finally face that anxiety. It's not fun. It's not comfortable, but there is no way to sort of sidestep this anxiety. So if you're still trying to find the magic answer in order to get around the anxiety, well, then you're not going to be any closer to where you want to be, right? And that's a very common mistake that a lot of us here in this community have made, myself included, in the past, right? So, yeah, acceptance is not about getting around anxiety. It's like I can consciously accept, but over time I begin fighting by default without even realizing it. You could chalk it up as a bad habit, Kay, but it's more or less going to be you trying to get rid of those thoughts so that they'll stop causing you anxiety, when really we just need to accept what thought is there, what feeling is there, and not try to get around it, and just remind yourself to let that run its course, right? Past video, like a feeling of doing something to move or jump out of the window, like as you say, totally lose or going crazy type, just weird feeling. What was that? Anxiety, depression, fatigue. It's anxiety. It's adrenaline, right? It's fight or flight. Because after experiencing again panic, my mind and body was drained. I didn't do anything, but the scary feeling is still there. Like, what if I feel it again? Well, that's what you got to work on, right? So the moment you catch yourself with the negativity, right? The negativity saying, oh, what if I feel it again? That's when you got to come back and remind yourself, hey, if I feel it again, I'm going to let it run its course. Hey, if I feel it again, it's a good thing. I need to work with these feelings and stop trying to get around them, right? So that's the attitude. That's the accepting inner voice. Whether you want to call it the accepting inner voice or the accepting attitude, that's what we're going for. So yeah, that's when you need to catch yourself, dude, JB. When you're saying things like, oh, what if I feel it again? Okay, stop for a second, right? Continue living and remind yourself, hey, if I feel it, I feel it. I'm not going to try to get around it. I need this. I'm going to let it burn. I'm going to let it run its course. My brain is learning. These feelings mean that my brain is learning because, again, you have to activate to generate. Anxiety learns while anxiety is turned on, right? So that's the attitude change that we want you to practice. That's the inner voice we want you to practice, right? Thank you guys for being here tonight. This has been an awesome stream with a ton of good comments. If you'd like to support the stream, link is in the description. We're on a 239-day streak. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to try to get all these questions answered, I promise. All right, let's see here. Forevering anxiety because the bitch or just the thought of it always wants to show up after things settle down in the day and just wants to creep in like, well, I see you're not busy now. And you say, hey, pull up a chair because I'm not trying to get around you anymore, right? It's all about, hey, pull up a chair. You know, if anxiety wants to be here, wants to be here. And you might think, well, I don't believe myself when I say that. Well, you don't have to. You practice it. You practice it. It's a practice. The accepting attitude is a practice. It's not necessarily something you will quote unquote believe 100%, but you are actively and consciously working on changing your perspective towards anxiety, right? And that's something you got to work on. And it's not going to feel like it's working because, again, this is not about getting around anxiety. It's just about changing what you tell yourself about it and really facing it and really accepting it with that accepting inner voice or that accepting attitude, whichever one you prefer there. Whichever term you prefer there. So anxiety wants to say, hey, I see you're not busy. Okay, well, pull up a chair. You can be here. I'm going to continue doing my thing, even if it's just watching TV. And if that thought wants to be there, that feeling wants to be there, I'm going to remind myself that, hey, you got to activate to generate. Anxiety learns while anxiety is turned on. You're allowed to be here. Changing your relationship towards it, right?
I need $1.
Rick, thank you so much.
That's what I need.
Rick, thank you so much, Rick, for the first tip of the stream, dude. Says, finally caught a libel. Welcome, Rick, and thank you for the $10 tip, man. That puts us on the board at 10. We are on that 239-day streak. Show some love in the chat to my boy Rick for supporting the stream. I don't know what we would do without our tippers, man. So show him some love. Rick, thank you so much for the $10 tip. I really, really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. A little ghost hug through the internet. Thank you, dude. Sanchez, thank you for the purple hearts. Let's see here. It ain't listening to the words. Anyway, well, see, here's the thing. The worry does register, but I get what you're saying. The worry does register, so you can freak the brain out. You can freak the amygdala out when you're adding negativity and worry, because to the brain, worry equals danger. So that's why we're trying to catch that, and we're trying to just use that accepting inner voice. You're right. You can't just tell it to turn off with the accepting inner voice, but what you are doing is you're no longer fueling the fire so that the fire can burn out naturally. Right? So you can't just tell it to turn off. But as you're cutting out the worry and you're practicing that accepting inner voice and you're really facing the feelings and you're not saying things like, oh, please go away. And no, as you're cutting that out and you're working on your accepting inner voice, you're no longer fueling the fire. That way the fire can burn out naturally. Now, guess what? It's not exactly the funnest thing in the world for that fire to burn out naturally, but eventually it will. It probably won't as quickly as you would like it to, but eventually it will as you're no longer adding gas to the fire. So, good comment, audio. Thank you for that. We got Kate in the house. What's up, Kate? Oh, you'll get there, Tyler. It's a practice, dude. It's a practice. You're not going to be perfect right away, right? Right. None of this, guys, none of this journey is going to come down to trying to get around anxiety. So people think acceptance is like a fun process. People think acceptance is like something that's supposed to make you feel better. Well, yeah, in the end, right? In the end, when it comes down to it and you start to heal, yeah, you'll make progress and you'll see symptom improvement, right? And you'll heal eventually. But during, it's going to be about facing. It's going to be about facing with a new attitude. And what's an attitude going to come down to? It's going to come down to what you're telling yourself. So you got to catch all the old crap, remind yourself of the new accepting facts, you know, like, hey, I'm going to let this burn. I need this here. I want this here. This is practice. Anxiety learns while anxiety is turned on. This feeling is healing. Whatever you want to tell yourself, right? But you're doing that not expecting instant relief. You're doing that because you're finally going to face anxiety and let it be there, right? With the right attitude. Not for instant relief, but because you're going to face it, you're going to let it be there with the right attitude, and in time, the brain will make the changes, and then you'll get your relief. But you can't come into it with the attitude of, oh, more anxiety. I want to go around anxiety. I don't want this learning opportunity to be here. This is super inconvenient, and I hate this, and I wish it would go away. Can't do all that. You're missing the point, right? So, you know, if that stuff does pop up, if that negativity does pop up, you're fine. As long as you catch it. As long as you catch it, and you turn it into the new attitude that you're working on. When the old negative stuff pops up, take a step back and say, hey, I'm working on a new me. Here's my new attitude, and I'm going to tell myself these new things, and I'm going to carry on with my day while this anxiety is still there, right? So practice, man. Practice. Big word here. A big word here and a big word in like Dr. Claire Weeks' book, for example. Practice. Practice. How does the nervous system become tired in the first place? It usually starts with some sort of brush or experience with panic or some sort of traumatic situation or ordeal, and then you start to feel fear your feelings. So a lot of people, the difference between people who experience sensitization and the people who don't is the people who don't normally experience some sort of anxiety or maybe even panic in their life, but they don't start to fear the feelings. They don't start to tell themselves very negative, worrisome thing about the feelings. The people who end up sensitized, they start to fear the feelings. This is Dr. Claire Weeks' word, right? You start to fear the way that you feel, and then you start to add a ton of negativity and worry to the way that you feel, and then your body and mind get progressively more tired, and then because of that, you get progressively more symptoms and more thoughts, and then you start to add negativity and worry to those too, and now you're getting more and more tired, your body and mind, and now you're really, really way down that fucking rabbit hole, and your nerves are just completely toasty, fried, and scrambled, but that is why you have found this channel, because I'm going to try to help you adopt that winning attitude to let this fire burn without adding more gas to it. And with that being said, I gotta go take a piss. I will be right back. I love you, beautiful people. All right, we are back. I've been saying fuck it all day and no relief. Sometimes it makes me feel like I'm going crazy. Trish. I'm gonna take a couple deep breaths here. Namaste. Okay. Okay. Let's tackle this real quick. We are not looking for relief, right? So you can say fuck it till the cows come home, right? You can say fuck it until the only earth that we know gets swallowed by the only moon that we know. You can say fuck it until the dawn of mankind. You can go back in time to the caveman days and say fuck it from the moment you were born and then jump from one body to another until the person that you are today. So that's the whole course of human history. You can say fuck it every single day, 3,000 times a day, 3 million times a day. But if you're looking for relief, it's not going to work because that's not the point. Right? That's not the point. You can't say fuck it and have an attitude of where's the relief, because if that's the attitude, then you're not really saying fuck it. You might as well be saying goobly glop. because that's not fuck it. Fuck it is not fuck it. Where's my relief? That's not the true definition of fuck it. If you're truly saying fuck it, that means actually fuck it. That means whatever here is allowed to be here, right? If you're saying fuck it, but then looking for relief, that is the same as saying goobly glap. It's not gonna work. You're missing the mark completely, Trish, completely. And I want you so badly to hear what I'm saying, because as long as the attitude is where's the relief, fuck it's not working, then you're not saying fuck it, because that's not the definition of fuck it. The definition of fuck it is whatever here is allowed to be here, and I'm willing to see it through, and I'm going to see what happens if I see it through, right? Because that's the definition of fuck it. If you're truly saying fuck it to something, that means fuck it. Whatever is allowed to be here is allowed to be here. If you're saying fuck it, but where's my relief, then you couldn't be any further away from the true definition of fuck it. Again, you might as well be saying goobly glop, because that's not the true definition of fuck it. So you can't come at it with the attitude or the words of fuck it and not mean fuck it. So when you say fuck it, that means whatever here is allowed to be here, right? And I'm going to see it through. I don't like it. It's not comfortable. I'm going to see what happens, though. I'm going to see what happens. See, get curious with it. Get curious with it. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to see what happens with this, right? I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to see what happens if I'm going to let this stick around, right? I'm not going to try to get rid of it. If it wants to be here, it can be here. So, see, you're saying fuck it with the hopes that that's going to make it go away, and you're missing the mark completely. You're missing the mark completely. And you know why I can say this? I can say this because that was me for a very, 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 very long time. That was me for a very, 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 very long time. So you see, as long as you're missing that mark, you're going to struggle, right? So the mark that you're missing is you're saying fuck it, right? You're saying fuck it with the hopes, right? With the hopes that this is going to make it go away. And it's not going to make it go away, right? So when you say fuck it, you can't have the attitude of, okay, go away, because you couldn't be further away from acceptance that way. You couldn't be further away from acceptance that way. So you're still too involved, right? You're still too involved. So when you say fuck it, you need to remind yourself that the symptoms are still going to be there, but that's okay. The thoughts are still going to be there, but that's okay. You're going to finally face them, which means you're not going to have the hopes that they're going to disappear, right? The moment you start using the accepting inner voice. So if you've still got the hopes that the symptoms and the thoughts are going to disappear the moment you start using some sort of accepting inner voice, then you're couldn't be further away than what we're trying to say, right? So for example, nothing, it's not going to feel like it's work. Kind of like Sanchez said, I used to be like F it and nothing, because it's not supposed to feel like nothing. So the moment you pick up the accepting inner voice, it's not supposed to bring you symptom improvement. It's not supposed to bring you thought improvement, right? Like, it might take the edge off or it might not, but you got to keep saying that. You got to keep saying, hey, I'm going to allow these thoughts and feelings to be here, even if it doesn't work right away. See, now you're starting to get the gist of this thing, right? So if you're still doing it like, if you're treating acceptance like taking a pill, you're going to miss the mark every time. But if you treat acceptance and the accepting inner voice like something that's a slow cooker, and it's going to take a sweet amount of time for anything to happen, then you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. But you can't use it right in the moment and then go to where's my instant relief, because you know what that does? That just works you up even more. That just works you're making it so much worse on yourself. Right? So if you're running around repeating F it and you're like, oh, I don't feel better, well, you're making it 10 times worse than it has to be, right? Because you're still gassing yourself up. You're still adding worry. You're still adding stress. And that's really, really far away from what we're talking about with acceptance, right? So you are making it 10 times worse when you try to use acceptance and then you ask where the relief is. You're making it 10 times worse, because that's not acceptance at all. Right? So if we can just make that slight adjustment, where, okay, I'm not using the accepting inner voice or whatever you want to call it, the accepting attitude. I'm not using that with hopes that this is going to take this away right now. I'm just using it to use it. I'm just using it because I'm not going to gas the fire anymore. Now you're on the right track. Right? So if you make that small adjustment in the attitude there, you'll be on the right track, But if the attitude is still, okay, I'm using this because this needs to go away, well, then you're making it 10 times worse on yourself, because that's not acceptance. So you see the difference there. It looks like a small difference, but actually it's a massive difference. There's a massive difference between the two, between using acceptance and the accepting attitude, or whatever you want to call it, like a pill, and using it while also knowing that it's going to take as long as it wants to take. Right, and it's all about not adding fuel to the fire. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to take anything away in the moment, right? So if you make that small change, and this is not just towards Trish, this is towards anybody and everybody in the chat, because I can almost guarantee that there's more than just Trish out there that needs to hear this message. Like 90% of people that get into acceptance needs to hear this message. If you start to treat acceptance like something that's going to take its own time, right, and you're not thinking it's going to do anything right away, then you're fine. But if you use acceptance like a pill, like taking a pill, then you're really off course, and we need to make that correction. We desperately need to make that correction, right? And I'm proud of myself there. Because normally I get way in over my head and start ranting a little bit too much about acceptance. But there's a lot of people out there that still have that misconception, have that false belief about acceptance. This is something that's supposed to do something in the moment. No, it's literally just to make you stop adding fuel to the fire. But those thoughts and feelings are still going to be there until they work themselves out. Right? In fact, it may make your anxiety spike from time to time, because you're no longer using coping methods and compulsions and stuff like that. So if you can understand that, and you can start to make that change to your attitude, you'll be much more on track with acceptance. So if you say F it and the thought comes, well, it's not going away, don't figure that out, or just say, okay, yeah, the thought will probably still be there. You're facing, right? The accepting attitude doesn't take anything away. It doesn't take anything away. That happens in time on its own. But you're still going to have to deal with the thoughts and feelings. But you're not adding fuel to them, right? So, it's one of those things. It's a message that needs to be heard, and not just for Trish, of course. I'd say like 90% of people who start with acceptance needs to hear this message. So I'm really glad Trish made that comment, because it's just so important. And it's, like I said, it's one of those things that I missed for a very long time. So I'm really glad she made that comment. For the longest time, I really thought if I was doing acceptance right, that meant that the thoughts and feelings would go away, and that was keeping me back, and that was me adding more stress and worry and making it 10 times worse on myself. When I started to understand that, yes, I can have the correct attitude, which is let it burn, even if I don't necessarily believe that, but I'm not adding fuel to the fire, and these thoughts and feelings are still going to come, and I need to continue to have this attitude and face them, and it might be a while, then I started to really get on track with what acceptance meant, right? So thank you again for making that comment, because that's something that a lot of people need to hear. Today I found blood in my stool. My anxiety isn't high, though, but it tried coming back. Hey, if it's something you want to go get checked out, go get it checked out. But sometimes sometimes when you take one of those massive poos, and they just, I don't know if your poo is massive, but sometimes you just be stressing and you be straining a little bit hard, and you pop a little something in there, and that's normal. I'm not a doctor, though, so if you want to go get that checked out, by all means, please do so. But yeah, that's just my hot take on that. So lost 25 pounds, couldn't sleep, felt awful. I did what Wonder Bro said, just keep living my life and accept it. Tough, but I am so much better now. I love it, Rich. I love it. Yeah, and it's all going to come down to that understanding, right, dude? You have to have that understanding that you can't just say F it, for example, all day long and expect to feel better. That's not what acceptance is about. It's I'm saying F it, which is just an example. I'm saying F it all day long, but I'm not expecting anything to come of that. I know that takes time, and I have to continue to face the thoughts and feelings. It's not something that's just going to happen because I said F it all day long. Right? And that is such an important message. And I know this because I get comments like this. It's very rare, but from time to time I do get comments that people say things like, why do you have to call people out like that? And you know why I have to call people out like that? Because A, that was me for a very long time, and B, if you don't, they're just going to continue to suffer until they, until they get what I'm putting down here. So of course I'm going to call those comments out because I want to help, right? I want to help. So yeah, you do need to at some point come to the realization that you can say F it all day long, but you're still going to have to face the thoughts and feelings there. You can say F it, but you need to understand that the thoughts and feelings are still going to be there. It takes time, and that's okay. That's a part of saying F it, right? So yeah, of course I have to call those comments out, because if I don't, what's the point of me being here? What's the point of me streaming? What's the point of me making videos if we don't correct these things, right? We got to correct these things. What was the turning point in your journey? Honestly, what I just said, Tyler. Understanding that the accepting attitude is not something that takes symptoms away right in the moment. It might take the edge off at times, but, understanding that really having the accepting attitude is something that you're going to have to face the thoughts and feelings still. And that's okay. That's a part of acceptance, right? You're just facing them with the right attitude. So, yeah, that's a big turning point. Not only for myself, but for everyone who hears that. For everyone who hears that. For everyone who hears that, there is a chance that could be a very big turning point. It's like, oh, wait a minute. So I gotta still face these thoughts and feelings. It's just I'm facing them without adding to them. Okay, got it. So it's going to take some time. Got it, right? I'm going to do it, but I'm not looking for instant relief. Got it. I'm going to do it, but it's still going to take its sweet time, and that's okay. I'm just facing these thoughts and feelings with that accepting attitude. Got it. My job is to face these thoughts and feelings with the accepting attitude, aka what I tell myself, and nothing else. I'm not in control of anything else. Got it, right? In fact, I need these thoughts and feelings to be here because that's when the brain's learning as I'm just chilling and not adding fuel to the fire. Got it. All these realizations, right? Big turning points. Big turning points for me back in the day, and I'm sure a lot of other people. So yeah, again, I hate the idea that some people out there consider me to be a bit of a douchebag. I've heard that before, but I hate it for them. I hate it for them because you need to hear these things, and it's all from a good place, and it's all from just wanting to see people do better, and you really you have to hear these things. You can't continue to have that same attitude and expect to grow. So, I hate it for people who aren't willing to listen. I hate it for people who are stuck in their ways. I hate it for them. I really do. I really, really do. In fact, I didn't make much progress in my journey until someone sat me down and said, look, you got to do something about this, and this, and kind of pointed out to me things like we've pointed out in this stream tonight, which is, hey, your attitude's in the wrong place, So yeah, you're still going to have to face the thoughts and feelings. You're just facing them with the right attitude. And what's the right, quote unquote, the right attitude? It's just reminding yourself, hey, this needs to happen. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. And you can't have that you can't follow that up with where's my relief. That's got to go. Because you have to face these thoughts and feelings, and they might be there. And that's okay, because you're working on facing them with that right attitude. And that takes practice, right? But you're not worried about symptom improvement in the moment. So this is a message that people absolutely have to hear, or else you're just going to jinx yourself. You're just going to run around and, I've got the accepting attitude. Where's my relief? The two don't go together. The two don't go together. You gotta work on that. So hopefully that helps somebody out there. So you're only resisting, fighting, or running from thoughts and feelings if you're in your head being negative. Basically, audio, yeah, exactly. It's not a physical, no, it's not necessarily a physical feeling. Physically, you should just be living your life. Mentally, you should just not be so predominantly negative, and you should be working on what you tell yourself, your mental attitude, right? And again, a big important point tonight, not following that up with where's my relief, right? Not going that route. But yeah, I like your message, audio. I like your comment. So next time I have that thought, how do I know I'm resisting? Is it this or is it that? Just say, yeah, just stay out of that, right? Stay out of that. Just come back to reminding yourself, hey, just let this burn. Let it run its course. Physically, you just need to be living your life, and mentally, you need to stay out of that negativity. You need to be catching that fuel. You need to be catching that fuel that you normally add to the fire and turning it into that accepting attitude instead. And no, that's not going to feel like it's doing much. Again, a very important point tonight. It's not going to feel like it's doing much. It's not supposed to. Right, but as long as you're physically just moving on with your life, whatever it is that you do, enjoy, whatever, and mentally you're just staying out of you're catching the negative and turning it into that new accepting attitude, then you're fine. You're absolutely fine. And again, don't expect to feel any different right away. That's not the point. And if you do expect to feel any different, you're just jinxing yourself. Woo, what a good stream tonight, guys. We got a lot of good comments. Let's see, we got a good amount of people in here. Thank you guys so much. A lot of good comments tonight. We are going to be wrapping this up in about 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes, guys, if you'd like to support the stream, feel free to do so. Link is in the description. We're on 239-day streak. And we will be wrapping this one up in about 10 or so minutes. So if you've got any comments or questions, feel free to ask those now. Woo. I'm taking a moment just to take it all in for a second. A lot of good questions tonight. We've had non-stop questions tonight. I appreciate everybody taking part in the stream. Thank you. Let's see. When I was still sensitized, wake up and say, well, anxiety, let's go. Get the kids up, start a morning together. If I was nauseous, I'd use the Claire Weeks float method and start getting shit done. Yeah, Claire Weeks float method is just to say, okay, you know, what's here is what's here. It's never about trying to get around thoughts or symptoms, right? Let it burn, audio. Right, dude? Just come back to that. Just come back to the mentality of let it run its course. You know, it is what it is. That's an old classic saying. It's an old classic saying, right? It's no longer trying to get around the thoughts or feelings, but just saying, okay, they're here. They're here, and I'm going to let that just kind of play out. It's just kind of playing out, right? Thoughts are playing out. Feelings are playing out. It's all playing out. I'm no longer trying to get around them, right? Trying to fight with every single one of them, right? No longer trying to do that. So, you know, if you do catch yourself being negative in your head, trying to fight with these thoughts and feelings, just come back to that. Come back to that, hey, you know, we're just going to let this run its course. We're going to let this run its course. If you start to fight with them, audio, if you start to fight with them, but if you're just letting them be, right, you're living your life. But the moment you start to get predominantly negative and you start to fight with these thoughts and feelings, then it's time to slip in some reminders to let it burn instead. Hey, what's up, Patriot? Let it burn, let it burn. Amount of effort I put into my previous role went nowhere. I didn't get any something for the hardcore efforts I put in over a 7-year period. Are you talking about at work, or are you talking about on your journey, your anxiety journey? Yeah, a lot of people don't see the the fruit of their labors when it's like, oh, I've been doing so much work, but really you've been just like fighting the whole time, or at least that was the case for me. type of coping that is harmful to recovery, but I use it to motivate myself to keep on the accepting way and to connect with people like me. Is this okay? It's okay as long as you're not doing it, A, as a way to make any sort of thoughts or feelings go away immediately, right? And B, you're actually using the knowledge that you're gaining from the streams, right? So 2 things there. A, you wouldn't watch the videos to think to yourself, oh, I'm going to get some sort of instant relief. And B, you wouldn't watch the videos and not use what you're learning. As long as you're using what you're learning, then they're giving you something. You're gaining something, right? Remind me of the float method again. There's no difference. There's no difference in the float method and it's all the same. The float method, it's not a method, it's a mindset. The float method is not a method, it's a mindset. You're trying to find something to make yourself feel better, but that's not really what you want to make your job. What you want to make your job is to no longer mentally be fighting with these thoughts and feelings, which is just going to come down to what you tell yourself. And yeah, it's not going to feel like it's working, Trish. So you didn't necessarily do anything wrong today, but the fact that you're looking for it to quote unquote work means that you don't quite have the understanding of how this works. How this works is that these thoughts and feelings will be here, right? And that's okay. You have to continue to practice having the right attitude towards them and facing them, right? Hope that makes sense. All right, guys, we're going to be winding this one down about 5 minutes. We have passed our 1 hour mark. I don't think we're hitting tip goal tonight, but we did have a hell of a run on the tip goal. At 239 days, we had a hell of a run, and we had a lot of good questions tonight. So this stream, nonetheless, is still a very good stream, and I'm very happy with it. It's all mental game, every single bit. Figuring out. Yeah, there's nothing to figure out a question. Never mind. Never mind. I totally take back everything I just said. I totally take back everything I just said. We did hit tip goal due to Rich coming in. Rich Man coming in with the. Is it Rich Man or Rich Men? I don't know. I don't know. Coming in with the $40 tip, which puts us at tip goal. It takes us to a 240-day streak. I spoke too soon. Says the stream shows people are looking for answers and the channel is needed. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you. Can we show some love in the chat? That is typical. Die hard. Die hard. All right. Thank you so much. We hit it, guys. We hit it. We broke it. Thank you, guys. That one came right down to the wire. That one came right down to the wire. Never feel obligated to do that, because even if we don't hit it, like I said, you know, it's fine. It's fine. Still a great stream nonetheless. So don't ever feel obligated to do that. But thank you so much, guys. Rich and Die Hard and who else was it? It was Rick. Thank you guys so much. That is tip goal. 240. Show some love in the chat. I don't think you're an asshole. Thank you, Trish. I don't try to be an asshole. I really don't try to be an asshole. I get really what's a good way to put this? I get really emotionally invested. Like when I read comments like yours that said, "Oh, I use the accepting inner voice all day, but I don't feel any relief." That doesn't put me in like a mindset of wanting to be an asshole when I read something like that. It puts me in a mindset of emotionally involved, because I'm like, I know what you're doing to yourself and I want you to feel better, and I want you, I mean, obviously that's why this channel's here. I want you to feel better and I want you to have the right mindset, and I know what you're doing, right? Donkey! Donkey, guys, chill. We hit it. We're at 60. Thank you guys so much, man. I love you guys. I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. We hit tip goal. In fact, we broke tip goal. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, Trish, I'm glad you don't think I'm an asshole. I get really invested, man, because I'm like, no, you can't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't have that attitude of why are the feelings and thoughts not going away? No, catch that. Catch that every single time, Trish, and anybody else who needs to hear this. Catch that every single time. At work. I hope you have a good rest of your shift, Sky. Thank you for being here, dude. Thank you for the support. You're still the man. Thank you, dude. I haven't forgot what you've done for me. I appreciate you, Sky. But yeah, I just get really invested, because it's like, no, you can't do that. you can't want the thoughts and feelings to go away and then think you're doing something wrong because they're not going away. Just understand that they're still going to be there, guys. They're still going to be there. They're going to take their time. That's okay. As long as you're not getting in a negative fight with them, you're doing everything right, and that's all you need to know. Stop trying to figure it all out. Stop trying to say, why aren't the thoughts and feelings leaving? No, face them without adding a ton of negativity to them, and you're fine. If that's how simple we need to make it, that's how simple we'll make it. As long as you stop trying to, you know, get all worked up asking, where's your relief at? No, just remember, you're going to continue practicing facing these thoughts and feelings without adding a ton of negativity, which, you know, to the brain, worry equals danger. So just let the thoughts be, let the feelings be, and just remind yourself to let it burn. As long as you're doing that and you're not asking where your instant relief is and working yourself up like that, then you're doing fine. You're doing fine. All right, let's see. I think we got a few more questions we're going to read before we end this one. I was stopping my overthinking today and thought I'm not supposed to stop the thoughts. Yeah, well, you stop yourself from adding to them. Yeah, you got the right idea. So if you got a sticky, intrusive thought, it's whatever. Let it burn. Got a feeling, let it burn. Just come back to let it burn, let it burn, let it burn. Don't get into a bunch of trying to figure out. No, you don't need that. Just let it burn. Let it burn. Oh, shit, we got Maddie sneaking in here. Maddie, you're late. You're late. How could you be late? Detention. Automatic detention. I used to think I had to feel less resisting, like I was... Well, no, not necessarily. You're going to be on fire. Right? I mean, this is what people need to hear. You're going to be on fire. Any advice for yo-yo back and forth acceptance? Let me scroll up a little bit and see if I missed. I keep yo-yoing. How many relapses have you had? So while I was first learning about acceptance and going through like that year of self-improvement or my journey, whatever you want to call it, I had plenty of backs and forths. Plenty. I mean, I was riddled with backs and forths. It's just part of the practice, right? You got to keep coming back to that accepting inner voice, that accepting attitude, and continue to face these thoughts and feelings with the attitude of let it run its course, let it burn. Even if you don't believe that, you keep practicing that. So you're going to have to come back to that time and time again, right? That's normal, dude. That's normal. So yeah, during my journey, I had plenty of ups and downs, plenty of backs and forths. You just got to keep coming back to the practice, right? You got to keep coming back to the new attitude and taking every opportunity you can get to face your anxiety with this new attitude. And what's the attitude? Well, it's going to come down to what you tell yourself. Tell yourself things like, hey, I need this here because anxiety learns while anxiety's turned on. Hey, let it burn. Hey, let it run its course. Hey, let's do this thing, right? You need to practice that attitude even if you don't believe it. And yeah, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have to keep coming back to that attitude time and time again. It's a practice, man. It's a practice. It's a practice. But I'm glad you could catch your first stream, Patriot. Also, guys, thank you for the likes. If you did enjoy this stream, make sure you like it up. I would appreciate it. It does help the channel grow. I think we're at 18 likes right now. 18 likes. We got like 30 some people in here. Let's run it up just a little bit. Maddie baking a cake. What kind of cake you baking, Maddie? Whose birthday is it? Any special occasion, or did you just feel like making a cake? Hey, Wonder Bro, great background, by the way. Loving the snow. Thank you, Raven. Appreciate you. Let's see. How do you know if you're phasing it? Who cares? Yeah, there's nothing to figure out. And I know you're just giving an example of like trying to figure it all out, blah, 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 rumination. But there's nothing to figure out, right? It's just whatever thought is there, whatever's feeling is there, just let it burn. Let it burn. That's it, dude. That's it. That can, steal that if you want to steal that. I mean, it's up to you. You tell yourself whatever you want to tell yourself. Get creative with it. But as long as you're just letting these thoughts and feelings be without trying to fight with them or figure them out, or you're just saying, hey, let it be, let it burn. It's not fun. It's not a joyful experience, but it's facing and accepting. My daughter's tomorrow. Well, happy early birthday to your daughter, Maddie, and I hope you've been doing well. We'll frost it tomorrow. I don't see how people can just leave a cake laying around like in the fridge or whatever. Frost it later. No, I would have it ate by later. There would be no later. There would be no later to come. I would have that eaten before then. Maybe I have impulse control issues. I don't know. Yeah, so let's say you got a thought that makes you really uncomfortable, audio. You're probably going to want to figure that out to like get some relief and like, oh yeah, now I can lay that to rest. But another one's just going to take its place, right? How many times have you done that, dude? How many times have people in this chat done that? I can raise my hand 1,000 times. How many people have fought with their thoughts just to get relief, and then another one comes anyway? And then another one comes anyway. So you're wasting your time. You might as well just let these thoughts cause you discomfort. You might as well let the anxiety peak and just face all these thoughts and feelings. And by face, we mean just let it burn. Let it burn while you continue living. Let it burn. Usher, baby. Would you say low mood? Oh, by the way, I did get your $5 tip, dude. I just couldn't pronounce your name, and I didn't want to butcher it. But I'm going to call you V because your name starts with a V. V, thank you for the $5 tip, man. We're at 65. Thank you. I really appreciate the support for the channel, dude. I'm so grateful for that. Would you say low mood / depression, feeling flat is also a side effect of anxiety? A lot of people go through anxiety fatigue. Most people experience it after they've been practicing acceptance for a bit, only because your brain's going from an extreme high to you finally facing and accepting, and that can be kind of exhausting. We got all these chemicals going on that need to work themselves out and get settled. So fatigue, I wouldn't use the word depressed because it's way too self-defeating. Fatigue and recovery fatigue is very common. Get your rest. There's nothing wrong with rest, but continue having and practicing that accepting inner voice and continue living. Hope that answers your question. Hope that solves it for you. But thank you so much for the $5 tip, dude. Really appreciate it. You do not have to tip to ask a question, by the way, but I do appreciate the $5 tip. Thank you. Look out, pink elephants on parade. Hippity hoppity. They're here and they are pink elephants everywhere. I don't know what you're singing, but I like it. Thank you for the likes, guys. Thank you. See, that's the thing. If I could just remind people to like the streams, I feel like we'd get a ton of likes every stream, but I never do. I never remember. It's not that people don't want to like the stream, it's just that nobody remembers, including myself. So thank you guys, because that was a ton of likes that just come in. I really appreciate it. I know it seems stupid and mundane, but every like really affects the algorithm, and it boosts the channel up to more people, or the videos up to more people, so they're a little important. They're just a little important, and I do appreciate it. I'll try to remember more often to remind you guys. Fatigue is something new that I've recently started experiencing. Have you been using the advice up until this point? Because there's a good chance if you've been using the advice, your brain is starting to settle and it's trying to make changes. So this is a good feeling, not a bad feeling. No feelings are a bad feeling, but you get my point here. You're so right. Every time I'd be like, let me ask if this is resisting. Okay, answer. Got it. 5 seconds later, I'd forget and get a new intrusive thought. You would really benefit. Actually, I'm not going to say that because then you'll think you're missing something again. You're not missing anything. I did a stream the other day, Dr. Claire Weeks, stop trying to slay every dragon. And by that, she meant every thought that comes along, stop trying to figure it out because a new one's just going to come along. Something new to trigger your tired nerves is just going to come along. So just accept whatever's there and stop trying to fight with it all, right? Let it burn. Let it burn. I can stand the sight of worms and microscopic germ, but technicolor are really too much for me. I don't know what that word is, but I like the song. I like the singing. One figured out, it either came back and turned into a new thing. Dude, it's going to be loophole after loophole. You might as well just give up. That sounds horrible in any other context, but with acceptance, it's fine. You might as well just give up trying to fight with these thoughts and feelings and just let it burn. Let it burn. Let it burn. Let it burn. Let's go over the names of the tippers again for this stream real quick, guys. So we got Rich coming in with a 40. Thank you, Rich, dude. We got Die Hard, we got Donkey, we got V, and we got Rick. Thank you guys so much for the support on the stream tonight. That one came right down to the wire. But you guys killed it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Killed the tip goal is what I'm referring to. Not the stream. You killed the tip goal. Booty luscious. Interesting comments, guy. Are you booty luscious? When your thoughts are mighty frightful and your anxiety's not delay. Okay, I see where this is going. It didn't take me long to catch on there. When your thoughts are mighty frightful and your anxiety's not delightful, help those thoughts to learn. Let them burn, let them burn, let them burn. Sung to the tune of Let It Snow. You didn't even have to say it. I got it. That is amazing. And you know what? Actually, do I have your permission to copy and paste that to all of my Vacate Fear social media? Because I'm probably going to. Sorry if I annoy and sound repetitive. It's actually helping me see every question or thought. Say no. Well, just remind yourself to let it play out. Like, just the thought is there. Okay, it's there. Don't even try to fight with it. It's whatever. It's white noise. The feelings, they might make you feel a certain way too. Well, that's okay, because we're not trying to get rid of that. We're just accepting it, right? So whatever's there, thought or feeling, just let it run its course while you live, man. Just go do something. Whatever. Lay in bed, watch a TV show. Doesn't matter what you do, right? Just don't be in your head fighting with those thoughts and feelings. And if you do catch yourself doing that, just say, what's the point? Let it burn. Let it burn. Let it burn. If you start trying to figure out a intrusive thought, just say, hey, thought, you can be there. Just run your course, whatever. And it's going to be there, and it's probably going to cause feelings too. That's a good thing. That means your brain's learning, right? That means you're doing something right. That means your brain is learning. Wonder Bro, look up Pink Elephant Paradox. It gets its name from the scene from Disney's Dumbo. Fun fact, I've never watched Dumbo. I know that's a classic. It's probably a sin to say that. The pink elephant scene gave kids nightmares. The best way to get rid of the nightmares is to let it go. Interesting little movie fact tonight. Classic movie fact. Maddie, I hope your daughter's birthday goes well. What's up, Nightmare Eddie? How you doing, dude? All right, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and start to shut this one down here. Rich says, yes, I got permission. I probably won't actually end up posting that. Like, I doubt it. But I love it. I love it nonetheless. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll just let you keep that one, Rich. Here's what you can do. I won't post it, but you just keep your Let 'Em Burn song for Let It Snow, and every now and then you can sing it to us in the chat. Because I really like it. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching tonight's stream. If you haven't tossed me a quick like, I'd really appreciate it if you do so. I would like to get the channel past 11K. I'd like to get the channel to 11K subs. We've been on like 10.9K subs for far too long, man. I think it's time that we push those likes and we get to that 11K mark, because we're like, I don't know, like 50 away or something. It's a really small number. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the channel tonight. Thank you for the tip goal. You guys have no idea how grateful I am for you. I realize and I understand and I know that this channel would not be shit if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Maddie says, thank you, Wonder Bros. She'll be 37 tomorrow. Well, happy birthday again, Maddie's daughter. Happy 37th birthday. No likes for you. Well, damn it. If you do want to like, I would appreciate it. Anyway, guys, I love you. I'm 45 years next year. I'm not 30 yet, but I'm getting there. Take care, guys. Have an awesome night. Have a beautiful day and or night. And I'll see you soon. Until next time, as always, stay awesome.